Introduce yourself.
My name is Lavin Asego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Fun-loving, outgoing, and caring.
Give us your childhood memory, most vivid childhood memory.
Most vivid childhood memory was going to church at Guadalupe, that's at Adams, and standing by the Kibera stage to take a photo. There's a photo of that place years back, and it brings very good memories.
So were you an altar boy ama Guadalupe Sikato?
I was not an altar boy. Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
The biggest misconception about me is I am a snob. I don't talk to people. But in my opinion, I respect people's space. So if you don't talk to me, chances are I will not talk to you. Yeah.
If we were to make a movie, your biography, which actor do you think would play you?
If there was a biography about me, I think Jamie Foxx would be the best to play me.
Yeah.
And
Kenyan actor or an African actor?
Oh.
Well, Jamie Foxx ni Mwafrika. Any Kenyan actor?
Any Kenyan actor, I would say Luanda Jawar.
Luanda Jawar.
Yes, who was the lead actor in Sense8.
Sense8.
Yeah.
Luanda Jawar kwanza tutamuita kwa hisho yetu pia.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, he's a good stuntsman.
Very good stuntsman.
Which gadget can't you live without?
I can't live without my iPod because I love listening to music.
What's on your playlist?
My playlist is all over. It's a mix of everything. But currently my top song is 911 by Yemi Alade. Yes.
If you were not playing rugby, what other sport would you play?
If I was not playing rugby, I believe I would be a very good footballer. I'd be a midfield player. The Kenyan Iniesta.
What's your dream job?
My dream job is to be a sports anchor, sports pundit, sports broadcaster.
By the way, speaking of which, you have a podcast going?
Yes, I have a sports podcast, an online sports podcast called Benchwarmers. We record every Monday, dropping every Tuesday, where we talk about a variety of sports, both locally and internationally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it is in episode 190. What?
We are on episode 128 at the moment.
Episode 128. Where can people find it? Just drop that.
Yeah. You can check out Benchwarmers. We are on iTunes. That's Benchwarmers KE. We are also on SoundCloud, Benchwarmers KE. You can follow us on our social media. That's at Benchwarmers KE on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you start playing rugby?
I started playing rugby in 1999 in high school.
Which high school was this?
I was in Yala, St. Mary's Yala.
Yala. Okay. When did you start? When did you join Mwamba Rugby? When did you join Mwamba Rugby?
I joined Mwamba Rugby in 2002, immediately after high school.
Who influenced your game at Mwamba?
My game at Mwamba was influenced by my older brother, Larry Asego, who was also a player at Mwamba when I joined. Yeah.
What's in your kit bag?
In my kit bag, before any game, I have 2 sets of boots. I have my bikers. I have my gum shield.
Why do you have 2 pairs of shoes in your kit bag?
In my kit bag, I have 2 sets of boots because it depends on the pitch I'm playing on. If it's a pitch it's soggy and heavy underfoot, I prefer using the 6 studs. That's the metal studs. But if it's a bit hard and a bit tough, I use my blades or my molded studs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the most memorable pre-match speech a coach ever gave you?
Most memorable pre-match speech I remember was back in Madagascar when we were playing the World Cup qualifiers. We were about to take on Namibia, and the then head coach Jerome Parwata gave us one of the most moving speeches I've had in my playing career. We beat Namibia, by the way. It was just after there was the attacks in Lamu, and they talked about a little girl who ran away from those attacks. She ran and ran and ran until she could run no more. So he drew inspiration from that, and his goal was for us to win that game. and dedicate that win to that little girl who, against all the odds, she ran for her life. So that was pretty passionate and pretty emotional, and that's why I can't forget that particular speech. Yeah.
Who was your rugby hero growing up?
Growing up, my rugby hero was Stephen Larkham, the number 10 Wallaby fly half. Yes.
Speaking of which, I didn't even ask you, for people who might not know there, Wanajonga, how the superstar, which position do you play?
I play the number 10 position. I've also played number 9 in sevens, but the position I love to play is fly half, number 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Kenya 7 series circuit is just about to begin.
Yes.
So what should we expect from Mwamba Rugby and from you as...
From me, don't expect much because I'll be working behind the scenes with the management at Mwamba. But from Mwamba as a team, expect very new talent, very many guys that most of you don't know about, because Mwamba is in a transition period where we're giving the youngsters an opportunity to step up, and the next generation of players is slowly taking up. So expect new faces, but expect also better and younger talent at Mwamba RFC.
Copy that. So we should expect, but you will be at Kabeberi Sevens, you and the other legends.
Definitely, I will be at Kabeberi Sevens.
So, Kabeberi Sevens has been taken to Machakos.
Yes.
Tell us about that, and what do you take from it?
First of all, I think Kabeberi Sevens has a deeper meaning for Mwamba and for the rugby fraternity as a whole, because it's a tournament that we celebrate rugby heroes who've passed on. Both from the club and just generally on the rugby scene. And I think taking it to Machakos gives rugby enthusiasts an opportunity to just tembea Kenya, and also for the people of Machakos to engage with Mwamba and to engage with rugby fans at large. So it's a different experience, it's a different venue, but just like we are waiting for this particular tournament here at Mwamba, people should come out and expect bigger and better things from Kabeberi Sevens.
Who did you replace in your Shujaa debut? Ni debut ama debut?
Debut.
Who did you replace?
In my Shujaa debut, I replaced the very talented fly half Kanye Gitonga, who used to play for Nondis. Yeah.
Which team did you play against on your debut for Kenya?
Oh, my debut for Kenya, 2003 Dubai Sevens, I will never forget. It was against South Africa, where we lost by 33-0.
Lakini hapo si ulikumerushwa kwa moto.
Yes, I was thrown in the deep end. I played the entire 14 minutes on my debut against South Africa.
Well, congratulations about that. Ebu, describe your experience in your first game, in that South African game.
My first game for Shujaa against South Africa was, I can say it was a baptism of fire, because at that time, South Africa, they were on the ascendancy. They had the likes of Del Po, they had Del Mas, they had Chavanga, they had Fabian Juris. So they had a large pool of talent. And for me, after about 5 minutes, I thought my lungs would explode because I did not touch the ball. All I saw was people running, flying past me. It was a baptism of fire, but I believe it was something that I needed just to know how things work on the international scene. Different ballgame from the local scene, definitely.
What's the greatest fear you've had to overcome to get where you are today?
The greatest fear I've had to overcome to get where I'm at today is the fear of inadequacy. The fear of being inadequate to do a particular task, to be in a certain position. Because I believe everything that we do, no one is born doing what they do perfectly. It's a learning process, it's a learning curve. And that's one of the things that I've had to overcome to get to where I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any pre-match rituals that you do?
Pre-match rituals, I listen to music a lot. So like about half an hour before a game, I zone out, I get into the zone where I just listen to my music, and I visualize the game before it actually happens. That helps me first calm my nerves and also just to shift focus from everything that's happening around me onto the game.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you do after a match as recovery?
As recovery, I take a cold shower or ice bath, because it's good for recovery for knocks and things like that. So first thing I do, try to take a cold shower before now taking the hot shower to finish up and freshen up.
Okay, best stadium you ever played at?
Best stadium I've ever played at, is the Westpac Stadium in New Zealand. It's my best stadium because that's the first time I played in a team where we beat Australia. And you know, Australia are perennial rivals of the All Blacks. So when we beat Australia, the whole crowd at the Westpac Stadium was cheering for Kenya. So they even had a song for Kenya. Kenya, Kenya. And I remember I couldn't believe it because it's a stadium with about 30,000 people. So imagine almost 30,000 people screaming for Kenya. So those are some of the memories that you live with for a long time.
Okay, so what's your career highlight?
My career highlight was in Adelaide when we played South Africa in the final. It was special for me because that's the first time in Sevens history where two African nations played each other in the finals of a World HSBC Sevens series.
Which year was this?
2009, I believe. I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Who's the toughest player you've ever played with or against?
The toughest player I've played against is Tomasi Kama of New Zealand. He's a playmaker who he sees things that no one else sees. The toughest player I've played with is Colin Sinjera. I normally say that I'm very glad that I no longer have to defend Colin Sinjera because he's bad news.
You no longer have to defend him. Why?
Yes.
Ataenda tu.
Yeah, he's bad news. Yeah.
So advice to upcoming players, and especially now that you've said that Mwamba is giving the young ones a chance.
Yeah.
What would you advise them to do, especially for Kabeberi Sevens and in future?
I think for upcoming players, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but you have to work hard. You have to work hard and you have to be disciplined. Because in rugby, just like in life, nothing comes without hard work and without discipline. So going into the Kabeberi Sevens, I see the boys have been putting in the shift. They've been training hard. Believe that hard work will be rewarded. You might not see it at the moment, but definitely it will be rewarded. And remember always to stay humble, because at the end of the day, you have to remember you will lose sight of where you're going if you don't know where you've been. Yeah.
So parting shot?
Parting shots, come out, support your teams, support Mwamba at the Kabeberi Sevens, which will be taking place at the Machakos Stadium. I'll be there. Will you?
Okay. So what are your social media handles where your fans can get you, people who want to follow you, and you talk again about your podcast?
My personal social media handle is @Asego. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And for my sports podcast, that's @BenchWarmersKE on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Support the movement.
So thank you so much for your time.
Asante sana.
Aye.